Yeah. God, hey everybody, how are you? Great. Good, that's good. Happy holidays. Are you guys excited about the holidays at all? No? Okay, that's fine. I'll just do most of the talking. Anybody going home, like, out of LA for Christmas?
Yeah.
At all? Where are you going?
Canada.
Nice. It's very festive. I'm going home to Florida. Yeah. It's awesome. Last time I was visiting home, I was driving around with my dad, and he pointed at a house, and he goes, "You see that house? Man in that house was just arrested for plotting to kill his wife and 4 kids." And I was like, "You see, Dad? This is why I moved." Because nobody in this town has any follow-through. I wanted to do something a little different tonight, so I took a list of defense mechanisms that people sometimes use unconsciously, you know, like denial and projection and all that, to cope with unpleasant feelings or experiences, and I decided to write jokes around them using my life experiences. So it's gonna get kind of dark, just so you know. And I've also never performed any of these, so if you don't laugh at any of them, that's fair. All right, here we go. Boy, people sure do love shitting on marriage, huh? They all say the same thing. They say that marriage stifles passion, that most married couples aren't actually happy, but I think marriage is wonderful. Because marriage is the only way you can get divorced. And divorce is fantastic. Getting divorced is like smoking marijuana. You can't believe you waited so long to do it. The pros definitely outweigh the cons, especially economically, and your parents still kind of think it's a sin. Now, a lot of people think that I had an affair before I ended my marriage, just because I did. And then I told my parents, you know, and then I told my friends, and then I told my pastor. Well, my former pastor, because in the divorce she got God, but then I did a podcast where I talked about it and kind of like the guilt I felt and how, you know, it like changed me and made me, you know, I like to think, into a better person. And then 50,000 people listened to that. But if you don't count any of that, there's really no proof. So it just goes to show people love rumors. I had what's called an emotional affair, which sometimes when I say that, people will scoff and they'll roll their eyes and they'll be like, an emotional affair? That's not even like a real affair. But I think an emotional affair is just like a physical affair, because when it's all said and done, you still get fucked. I've learned a lot, though. You know, splitting up with someone is, you know, it allows you to see the other person for who they really are. Like, before I broke things off, I thought my ex-wife was like this complex, nuanced person who certainly had her issues, but had a great sense of humor and a nearly supernatural devotion to me, but I still carried with me a dark, unspeakable dissatisfaction with life. But now when I think about her, I'm just like, you know? Enlightenment is hard, is what I'm saying. I remember the good times, though. I do. I get asked that a lot. I remember the nights, you know, in bed, legs and arms intertwined. I think it's called the fetal position. I take a lot of comfort now in knowing that, like, the mistakes I made in my marriage, you know, that was the old me. You know, that's not me now. That was the old me. Isn't that great? Like, any mistake you've ever made in life, that was the old you, because that's how time works. Like you never hear it the other way. What did you do over Thanksgiving? I volunteered at the soup kitchen. But you know what, man? That's the old me. Not exactly how it works. So the first girl I ever kissed, I later dated, married, cheated on, and left, is the answer to the question, Elliott, why do you spend so much money on therapy? Therapy being my favorite microbrew IPA. When everything was falling apart, I had to make a choice every day. I was like, I can either, fall back to, my kind of more conservative teachings, or I could stumble forward to like this self-loving Californian hippie-dippy bullshit. And the problem was like every time I stepped toward not hating myself, it felt like I was killing a part of me that was just so good at it, And if there's one thing I hate, it's losing a skill. Like it felt like I was betraying that kid who used to pray and read the Bible all the time. I mean, I never really read the Bible, but I believed the shit out of it. The thing about my ex, guys, the reason it didn't work out is because she wasn't there for me emotionally. She didn't ask how I was really doing. She wasn't curious about me on a spiritual level, and she wasn't really into sex. So, can you imagine? Especially when I wasn't there for her emotionally, never asked how she was really doing, wasn't curious about her on a spiritual level, and wasn't really into sex. It's like quite the pickle, you know what I mean? And I would compensate a lot. I would be like, extra happy. I would make YouTube videos where I would give marriage advice and share all of the wisdom I had accumulated from all of my relationships. And it is tempting sometimes to block out the good parts. So what I do is that was the end of the joke. Since I've gone on this little journey over the past couple of years, I've become a lot more honest, and it's awesome. I like it a lot. I think honesty is like heroin, because it's addictive, and most people never even try it because they just weak-ass bitches. Freud has this essay that he wrote on mourning versus melancholy, and he describes mourning as this very natural, healthy response to some type of death, whereas melancholy is an unhealthy kind of like subconscious reaction to a loss that maybe isn't as easily seen like love itself. And I think in my marriage, I was plagued a lot by melancholy, not that excused any of my actions, but it helped give words to what had previously been a wordless sadness. So for example, Freud says, in mourning, it is the world which has become poor and empty, and in melancholia, it is the ego itself. And he goes on to say, does feeling smarter help you cope, Elliott, you piece of shit? It is a good read. It's available on Google Books. Are you guys having fun with this? 'Cause I'm having a great time. I'm dating someone now, and that's a whole other ball game. It's incredibly expensive, which I did not know. And I keep spending money, and all I'm getting in return is happiness, and it's like, it's the exchange rate. I mess up sometimes, though. I put my foot in my mouth because I sometimes think that everybody likes to be mocked and ridiculed on a regular basis. I did that love language quiz, does anybody know what the love languages things is? Where it's like your gift giving or, words of affirmation, and I did the quiz and it just said being a dick, and I was like, that's how I communicate. Perfect. I hurt her feelings last week because we were going out on a date and I insulted her shoes, but I didn't even do it in like a clever way. We got out of the car and I just looked at her feet and I go, what's going on there? She got very upset about that. But I made up for it by appealing to her emotions and then making a joke and justifying my sense of humor and then apologizing and then essentially burying her in a pile of positive statements to make her completely forget my previous transgression. And I know at this point, I should probably have some kind of a punchline for this, but I just want you guys to know that she's pretty all the time and looks great in any kind of shoe that she wears. And I know based on the rhythm I've established thus far, I should have some kind of a misdirection at this point, but I just want to say thank you to you guys. I know how frustrating this must be and weird and awkward, but you guys have been really cool, and I appreciate you letting me experience this catharsis as both a performer and a person, and I don't want to make this like a long-winded, drawn-out thing, but I should mention that this is about a defense mechanism called unloading, and it's hard as shit to write a joke about, so what I'm basically going to do is just trail off and clear my throat. So when I look back on everything, I think I'm not super unhappy with a lot of my life decisions. There's a few that are spotty that I feel kind of bad about, but not all in all, it's pretty good. So I've been trying recently just to focus on my more positive qualities. Like I know I can be egotistical and narcissistic and selfish and kind of flaky, but I'm also like pretty good at joke writing. So. You could say it's a give and a take. Take. So anyway, if you're keeping count, I did denial, acting out, splitting, regression, dissociation, compartmentalization, projection. There's one called reaction formation. The Freud part was intellectualization, unloading, obviously, compensation, sublimation, and then assertiveness, which I nailed. Well, I didn't. I kind of did all right with, you know what? I don't really know how to end this, so I'm going to end it the Elliott Morgan way, which is to say abruptly and not as well as I probably could have. Thank you, everybody.